We are back. Another episode.
Yep.
Revinyl. Once again. All right, Craig. Got some fun topics today. We're going to get personal today.
Mm-hmm.
I know that makes you a little nervous when I say that, but what I mean by it is we're getting personal because we've been running down the list of the Rolling Stone top albums of the 80s from the issue that they published in 1989. Now
Right.
we're going to give our personal favorites. So we are getting personal today.
For sure.
This is personal.
Yeah.
You're going to go through albums by year. Is that right?
Yep.
And then I'm going to go through songs. We wanted to do something different because you and I would have so many of the same albums. It would just be, okay, ditto everything Craig said. I'll add 3 more that he didn't mention, right?
Yeah. Especially when you go through my honorable mentions for sure. But
yeah, exactly. So we're going to do that. Before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to, it's honestly been the most influential music magazine for me. We talk about Rolling Stone magazine. We talk about Uncut, Mojo, Under the Radar, all of these great music magazines. But the one that has shaped my music listening more over the past 25 years is The Big Takeover. Jack Rabid. He's been doing this now. This is the new issue, just came out, issue number 96, but this is the 45th anniversary. I've been reading this for 25 years. I believe I bought every copy since 2000. And then I also bought back copies pre-2000. I probably have 75 of the 96 issues is my guess.
Wow.
70 to 75 of them. Yeah.
Impressive.
I have a lot.
Let's see.
Yeah. I love this magazine. And it made me think a little bit about just one band that I think of for certain that I never would have really probably listened to were it not for Jack Rabid and The Big Takeover was the band Gene. I didn't know anything about Gene until I read The Big Takeover. And then I went and listened to them and thought, oh yeah, I love this. This is right up my alley.
Yeah.
How about you? Any that come to mind that you absolutely?
Yeah, there's
so many.
One right off the bat that comes to me. Even to me, what important is another important aspect too is when you know a band that nobody else is talking about, he's the guy that'll be talking about that band that you've been talking about, which is really cool. So I go with that. But yeah, the one record I can think of that I would have never known this band. Most people don't know them. They ran parallel with the Replacements, and they were honestly is good. And that's the Nils, that self-titled Nils album. I would have never heard of that if it hadn't have been for him doing a feature on them, and fell in love with it. But yeah, I remember the first episode I bought was years ago. I haven't been reading it nearly as long as you have, but it was probably in Seaside. I think I picked up an issue of it in Seaside because I'd heard of it. I said, I'm just going to dive in. Shawn's been talking about this for a while, and I just remember like just page to page, just reading it cover to cover, backwards and forwards, going, all right, and having a checklist of 20 bands to check out. Because was it get released every quarter? Is it quarterly?
It's twice a year, so I guess biannual.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, it's a huge undertaking, right? I mean, he does so much of the writing of this. It's incredible. The thing that I go to every time for anyone, so The Big Takeover, you can look online, his website. He's got a podcast also, right? A radio show or a podcast, Craig?
Radio show, yeah.
Radio, okay.
Yep.
But the one thing that I always go to every issue, immediately go to his top 40. Jack reviews and gives his rankings from 1 to 40 best albums, and then writes about each of them. So you get a record review, but you get his top 40. And I remember there was a band called Bastards of Melodies. Bastards of Melodies. I think they were from New Jersey. They didn't last long. Only did a couple albums. No one's ever heard of these guys. He turned me on to them because they were ranked so high in one of his top 40 lists that he did. And I went and listened to them and thought, these guys are incredible.
Yeah.
And That's what you get every issue with if you read this magazine, there are at least 5 bands in that top 40. If you don't know them, you'll learn about 5 new bands because he's going deep. He's finding bands, and he's a curator. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah. When I flash back, maybe I have been reading it as long as you, because I go back to when I was, yeah, had my store from
yeah,
physical location from '04 to '07. I remember being there, and I talk about validation. He reviewed a band called the Purrs, and they had a self-titled album just called, the Purrs. I think it was on a decent sized label, maybe not, but and I remember him raving about it, and I go, man, that's been in my bargain bin for 6 months. I've got to play that, and it made me dive into my bargain bin. I was like, what else am I missing? So
right.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
would play all kinds of random stuff. Going, man, there's nuggets. I have nuggets in here I don't even know I have. So yeah,
He has such great taste. That's the thing. If it was a magazine where he goes, I'm going to do my top 40, every issue and half of it was stuff that I really didn't like, then it wouldn't have a lot of credibility.
right.
But his taste is so good, and it's pretty broad. He really likes 60s British invasion.
Mm-hmm.
He likes punk. He likes punk more than I like punk. I mean,
Oh,
the
that's
the
his favorite
magazine is named after Bad Brains album, right? Or song, Bad Brains song.
song. Yeah.
But but he loves power pop. He loves shoegaze.
Mm-hmm.
He loves all the stuff, Brit pop, all of that. So anyway, I wanted to mention it really fast. Big happy anniversary to Jack Rabbit and his staff. The big takeover, and looking forward to the next few issues and getting to the 50th anniversary and then number 100. I don't know if it'll line up, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling he'll have something big in store for
Nice.
readers. So
Very cool.
okay. All right. Let's jump in. I am going to hit you with give me your ranking 1 through 10. We've had a lot of fun with that. We're going to do it again
Yep.
here. And since we're doing 80s, getting my notes up here. Sorry. Since we're doing 80s theme today, I'm also doing 80s theme, or trying to, with my 1 through 10. So let's just jump right in. Everyone knows the rules. You're going to rank it 1 through 10. All right. And I'm talking about the movie Footloose.
Solid 7.
All right. And I bring that up because it's a movie and it's from the 80s, but also it was a huge soundtrack.
Huge.
Massive at
Yep.
the time. Yeah. Okay. The movie Risky Business.
Oh.
With that great music scene.
Man. 9.
Iconic.
9. Yeah. Could go 10 on that, but
9.
Yep.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
10.
I'm so with you on that.
10.
I love that movie.
I love that movie.
I love the soundtrack. The movie gets a 10. The soundtrack gets a 10.
Yeah.
All the way.
All the characters get a 10. It's awesome. Yeah.
Just unreal. New wave, the genre, new wave.
8.5.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. MTV up to 1987.
Oh, 10 for sure. Yep.
MTV post 1987.
-3.
You don't love reality shows? I mean,
hey, the real world started out fantastic. It really did, but that's the beginning of the end.
It shaped so much of what's still on. I mean, reality TV really wasn't
a
thing until, it's incredible. All right. Rubik's Cube.
Oh, man. I'm going to give it a 5. Only because I could never figure. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant device, brilliant game, whatever you want to consider it. But I could never figure one out, man.
I sucked so bad at Rubik's Cube, and I just would give up every time. I'd line up one side of it and then could never get. As soon as I would start the next one, I go, "Oh, now I messed up the other side. Forget it."
Do you ever go to the extent of trying to peel the stickers off to make it
pop off? You could pop off the pieces and then reconnect them. Yeah, I was that guy. Sting solo.
7.
Talking Heads. Debbie Harry solo.
Oh, I don't. I'm gonna have to go 5. I really don't know most of her solo stuff, to be honest. I just know the
I,
Blondie. Yep.
yeah, I don't either. Okay, that's our 1 through 10 segment. Now, one or the other, no fence sitting, Craig. And you would have it so far, so I can't say you have, but I know it's been a struggle, and I'm going to make it difficult today a few times. Let's get started. Since we were just talking about Debbie Harry and Talking Heads, Blondie or Talking Heads?
Uh, Talking Heads.
Ramones or Bad Brains?
Ah, man. Ramones.
Clash or Sex Pistols?
Clash. All the way. Not even close.
Bon Jovi or Poison?
Oh, Bon Jovi. Bon
Okay.
Jovi.
The Alarm or Simple Minds?
Oh, man. Phew, that one's tough. I'm going to go Alarm.
All right. Phil Collins or Peter Gabriel, and I'm talking solo, not their contributions
Phil
to
Collins.
Genesis.
Phil Collins, man.
All right. Beastie Boys or Run DMC?
Oh, that's not fair. Oh. I'm going to go Beastie Boys reluctantly, but I got to do it. I think they would even get mad at me for saying that.
Yeah, they would. They would say, you're crazy. Cher or Madonna?
Madonna.
Prince or Michael Jackson?
I'm going to go Prince. Yeah.
Last one, The Police or Dire Straits?
Police. I know that's tough. I know you love Dire Straits, and I love me some Mark Knopfler, but Police.
All right. Okay. Nice.
I survived.
You're off the hot. You're off the hot seat. Okay. You're going to talk about your albums. I'll let you explain your logic
Mm-hmm.
and go through it. I'm going to pretty much remain silent, and I may chime in with something here or there, like, oh yeah, love that. But otherwise, I'm going to let you roll through it, and then I'll do my songs and I'll explain my logic for how I came up with my list.
All right, so I'll run through pretty quickly on these. I won't get too elaborate on most of these except for the winner, right? And I'm going year by year. So start with 1980 and run to 1989. Some years were a lot harder than other years. So I'll just say that. All right, so 1980, I'm going to start with honorable mentions. You will see some where I might have 2 or 3, or I might have 15. So just bear with me. 1980 honorable mentions, and this was tough not to pick each of these, but Elvis Costello and the Attractions, Get Happy. The Jam, Sound Effects. God, it was so hard not to pick that one. You mentioned the Police, Zenyatta Madada, my favorite Police album. I love that album. Hard not to pick that. U2's Boy, XTC's The Black Sea. Those were all pinnacle, but Crocodiles from Echo and the Bunnymen. Crocodiles for me turned me into an Echo and the Bunnymen fan, and I've been ever since. I still think it's their best album. I just love that record. That's their debut. Okay, 1981, another tough year. Honorable mentions are Elvis Costello and the Attractions, of course, Trust. Echo and the Bunnymen's Heaven Up Here, a little bit more progressive than a little bit more experimental. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Hard Promises, great album. The Police, Ghost in the Machine, another great output from them. Psychedelic Furs, Talk, Talk, Talk. That was probably the closest one to this. And then I'm putting Chronic Town up there, even though it's an EP. I got to put it in there. Huge, huge album. But the winner, High and Dry from Def Leppard. That album shaped everything I listened to at the time. So you'll notice too that there are trends of things that I were into actually when it was released, and then things that I went back to. Obviously, I went back to the Elvis Costello stuff, but I was listening to a lot of hard rock and metal at the time. So, but this is one that's really High and Dry really stuck with me, turned me into a huge fan of the new wave of British metal. Just love that stuff. So 1982, a little bit thinner, but some great releases. 2 honorable mentions I have: The Church Blood Crusade and XTC's English Settlement. But I got to go with Elvis Costello and the Attractions, Imperial Bedroom. I'm telling you, if you've not heard this album, it is absolutely stunning. It is so diverse. This is when he really started to get a little bit more theatrical and started to bring in maybe a good bit of folk, show tune. I mean, just there's so much going on in this album. So important that the very last song is called "The Town Crier," and that's the name of my former store was called Town Crier Music. Chose it specifically for that. I actually wanted to put a mural up behind me, but I could never find somebody to paint it without the name of the artist or I just wanted some person to walk in and figure that out, put two and two together. But alas, 1983 got three honorable mentions: Def Leppard's Pyromania, of course, the Go-Betweens before Hollywood. Very tough not to pick that. We've mentioned Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind a billion times. Brilliant, brilliant album. But I got to go with Murmur. Murmur was just absolutely epic. I did not listen to this in 1983. I probably didn't listen to that until late 80s, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But that album just absolutely changed me. If you want to hear what Athens sounds like, go listen to Murmur. That's what Athens sounds like to me, at least back then. 1984, quite a few. Um, the Cult, Dreamtime, Go Between, Spring Hill Fair, to me might be their best album. REM's Reckoning, of course. The Replacements, Let It Be. God, it's hard not to pick that one. The self-titled Smiths album, but this one might surprise you too. And this has a tie-in with Jack Rabid and The Big Takeover. But New Model Army's Vengeance. It's their debut album. Turned me into a New Model Army fan. If you're not familiar with them, which I'm sure you're not, it is a band that brought new wave, punk, hard rock, metal, mashed all that stuff up. Most of what Justin, the lead singer, primary songwriter, sings about is very political, very charged up. It's got every song has kind of like a gallop to it. I think they've had at least one, if not two or three albums that were Jack Rabid's albums of the year. And we're talking recent. Like they had an album like 2 or 3 albums ago, probably, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago called Winter. That was his album of the year. Great band, very underappreciated. I saw them at the Drunken Unicorn. They played in front of 12 people. It was really sad.
Really
Um,
sad.
1985, we're getting into some a different era here. Killing Jokes, Nighttime, that's the album that has 80s on it. I was into that song, listened to that album, and realized how great they are. Incredible band. New Model Army had a follow-up, No Rest for the Wicked was great. Tom Petty's Southern accent with the Heartbreakers. Fables of the Reconstruction from REM. God, it was hard to pick, not to pick that. Replacements, Tim. And then this one, I think, would be your album. This was my definitely the closest thing to my album, U2's Unforgettable Fire. Oh, I love that album. But for me,
So,
the Cult's Love, I
ooh.
I love the Cult. You're gonna people don't understand how much the Cult meant to me back then because they when you start, I started with another album. I'll talk about that in a second, and then moved my way backwards, and I realized, man, all three albums were three different genres. It was incredible. I just love them so
Yeah.
much. So yeah, Love for me was my album of 85. 86, I'll start running through these a little bit quicker, but Church's heyday, Costello and the Attractions, King of America is amazing. I'm telling you, Driving and Crying, Scar But Smarter. I love that album. It's so raw. They never put out an album quite like that one. Metallica,
Yeah.
Master of Puppets. What can you say? Susie and the Banshees, Tinderbox. That album is they had 2 or 3 albums prior to that that were all great, but Tinderbox to me was when they just nailed it. Smithereens, especially for you, love them. Tesla's Mechanical Resonance, still think Tesla's one of the best hard rock bands of that era. But I go with XTC Skylarking. Once again, discovered them. It was so hard not to pick Black Sea in 1980 because that album was what got me into them. But let's be honest, Skylarking is their masterpiece. I think they've done albums of that ilk. I think they surpassed it with a couple of albums, honestly. But this is where they just, man, the songwriting, everything just came together. I've never heard music quite constructed that way. Telling you, even if you've heard Dear God, Even if you don't like that song or you don't like the message, go back and listen to the song. The album is just brilliant. 1987. This was the year that I discovered the Cult. This is the year that I fell in love with the Cult and then went backwards. My album of the year is Electric from them. I love that album. But you know, Driving and
Love it.
Crying's Whisper Tames the Lion, Love and Rockets, Earth, Sun, Moon was very, very close. I've told you how much I love that. REM's Document, and then Pleased to Meet Me from the Replacements, all alternates. 1988, you had Midnight Oil's Diesel and Dust, Morrissey's Viva Hate, Smithereens' Green Thoughts, and Talk Talk's Spirit of Eden. All great albums, but my album of the year is The Church, Starfish. Telling you people, another absolute masterpiece. It might not be my favorite Church album, but I can say start to finish, it is their most flawless album. It is just amazing. And yes, that is the album that has the song that you would know, Under the Milky Way.
Yep.
And that's 1988. And then cap things off with 1989. 1989 was just insane. I mean, just absolutely insane. I am not lying. I probably have a dozen alternates here. Badlands self-titled album. Love that album. Cure's Disintegration. Driving and Crying's Mystery Road. Chris Isaac's Heart-Shaped World. LA Guns Cocked and Loaded. Midnight Oil's Blue Sky Mining. New Model Army's Thundering Consolation. Ocean Blues self-titled album. Tom Petty put out a little record called Full Moon Fever. Tesla's Great Radio Controversy, The's Mind Bomb. If you don't know the band The, please check them out. Toe the Wet Sprockets debut, Bread and Circus, very underrated album. Tora Tora, Surprise Attack, love that album. XTC's Orange and Lemons, but I already mentioned this before. King's X, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska was the first CD I ever bought. Absolutely blew my mind. I've never heard a band like that. I will put them up there as the best power trio behind Rush. You just can't beat Rush. Even they would admit it's hard to put. But I'm more of a fan of King's X, and I think they're one of the most unheralded bands that critics love, fans love, but the public just doesn't know about. So that's it. So I'll give you a quick recap because I went through a lot. My winners are get rid of the blanks. My winners are 1980 Crocodiles from Echo and the Bunnymen, 1981 High and Dry from Def Leppard, 1982 Imperial Bedroom from Elvis Costello and the Attractions, 1983 Murmur from REM, 1984 Vengeance from New Model Army, 1985 Love from The Cult, 1986 Skylarking from XTC, 1987 Electric from The Cult, 1988 Starfish from The Church, and then 1989 Gretchen Goes to Nebraska from King's X. There you have it.
Man, I mean, some of those that you listed, even just the top 10, you know, the top one from each year would be in my top, easily in my top 20, like Murmur,
Yep.
Love, maybe Electric. It's right on the periphery for me.
Yep.
I think I like Love better because it's darker and
Yeah.
a little more mysterious.
Yep.
But Electric, if I'm out at, I don't know, if I was out on a boat on the lake, I'd listen to Electric. I wouldn't listen to Love, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I mean, you know, you're out with your friends partying. Love's not a party album.
It's
Electric is, though. Electric is their AC/DC. It's like you said, there were three different genres with the first three albums alone, and that was their AC/DC album. And,
They
and
went.
I mean that in the very best way.
They legitimately went from a goth band with Dreamtime
Yep.
to a new wave, still kind of goth adjacent with Love, to a hard rock band with Electric, and then went full on metal with Sonic Temple. And that's the evolution that they wanted. They wanted to be a hard rock stadium band, and they played that way live, even with Dreamtime. But I love their music so much. I remember being in a one of those car stereo stores when you used to have car stereo stores you go to. And I would always test out whatever speakers I wanted or whatever CD player with Electric because it was just so powerful. And this guy came in, he goes, "Oh, what do you think about Love?" And I go, I like it. And he goes, "But you like this better, huh?" And he goes, I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, don't worry, give it time. That'll change." Because he knew I was young, you know, he knew I was. And he was right. I remember when it flipped, and I said, "Oh, I do love is just perfect." And I flash back to that moment. I go, damn, he was right. Yeah. So he knew.
I'm just glad you didn't answer that thinking it was more of a philosophical question. What do you think about love? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's better than hate, but yeah.
Right. Right.
um, all right, it's a great list. I mean, I knew you were going to deliver the goods with that, and you absolutely did. I'm going to go through my list of songs. I think I kept it to 20. And I just want to qualify this for listeners and for you. You don't even know what I ended up with here in
No.
terms of my logic, but I struggled with a list of the top songs from the 80s because everyone already has those, whether it's Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners or It's My Life by Talk Talk, which is probably my favorite song of the 80s. But
Right.
everybody knows that. I wanted to bring something different. So what I've tried for here is if it's a well-known band, it's not their it I kind of look I even look back at some of the 80s playlists on Apple Music. I didn't want to pick any songs that were on, 80s essentials or any of that. So
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
if it's a well-known band, it's probably I'm not saying it's a deep cut. It's probably on their greatest hits compilations,
Mm-hmm.
but these are songs that I absolutely love from the 80s, but it's not going to be a song that you would find on most playlists. So I'll give it a go here. And
Awesome.
by no means I can't rank them. I wouldn't even try to rank these songs. It's too difficult.
Yeah.
But and there's 100 more that I could have done, but I just went through 20 that have a lot of meaning for me. So
Cool.
here we go. Okay, first up, I'll give the band first. So Duran Duran, and the song is Skin Trade. I love that song. I just think it may be of all their great songs, it might be my favorite Duran Duran song. It just has a sophistication, I think is the right word.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a great recording. They turned the corner from being you know, whatever they were. They were such a glamorous band up to that point. Not to say that they still weren't, but with Notorious and with that album, the sound changed, right? American
Yeah.
Science and Skin Trade. So I've always Skin Trade's always been my song. Okay, and this is just random. Next, I'm going to go with Plimsoll's "Million Miles Away." I'll never forget when I heard that song for the first time,
Agreed.
and it was in the movie soundtrack, right? Valley Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Valley Girl?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they're
and
actually in
that
that.
bar scene.
I think they're actually in that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
yeah. They're performing on stage. For those of you that don't know, if you don't know that song by Plimsoll's "Million Miles Away," once you hear it, you can't unhear it. It's such a great song. It's got a feel to it that it doesn't matter what decade. That could have been a great song in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Can't believe it wasn't a mega hit, but whatever. Okay, next. This is a song by someone from Duran Duran. It's Andy Taylor, the original guitar player, and had a song called I Might Lie that he did on his solo record.
Okay.
And it is just, it's awesome. I love that song so much. It's heavy. Do you know that song?
I don't. I don't think I've ever checked
Oh
out any
man.
of his solo stuff, honestly.
That song is great. His voice is actually really good. He did I didn't even check this, by the way. I'm going to do this real time because I need to make sure this wasn't from 1990. I think about it. I always thought of it as a song from 80. Oh, it was 87. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Whew. Yeah, he had and it features I was nervous for a second. It features Steve Jones from Sex
Flash.
Pistols on guitar.
Oh yeah.
It's a
Sorry.
great song. It's a very heavy song, like really heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, check that out.
Okay.
Okay, next up, you've talked about them a couple times already. The Cult, and the song is Nirvana, not the
Mm,
band. For those listening, that song to me that changed everything for me. When I heard that song, I was a Cult fan from
yep.
that moment forward.
Love that song.
Unbelievable. Okay, the next one will surprise you. I wanted to have a couple surprises here because this is a band you would associate with a couple of big hits like Broken Wings and Kyrie Eleison.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. had a song on their first album called Black and White or Black/White. It's just a great song. I don't know what it is. It's such an 80s song. I mean, through and through, the production, everything, but it's just a great song. And for me, I don't care production wise. Okay, you can look back and go, yeah, this is so 80s. The production is such an 80s thing. Doesn't matter. It's just a great song.
Okay.
Are you familiar with it? You ever heard it?
Never listened to that album before. I just know the two hits.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Great, great song. Okay. Next up, In Excess. And the song for me is Stay Young. I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
I it's my go-to song out of all of the NXS songs, and I mean, Kissing Dirt, Falling Down a Mountain is about as good as it gets, but Stay Young just has that because it's from Underneath the Colors, so it's early NXS. It just has a feel when you listen to it, they sound so young. They sound so different in a way than they do on Kick. Same band,
Yep.
but it's just everything about it sounds so youthful and early 80s, and I just have always loved that song. Okay. Paul Young, Come Back and Stay. The dude could sing the phone book. We talked about the Pauls before. Paul
Mm-hmm.
Carrick, Paul Young, Paul Rogers. There's something about the name, but Paul Young and that song for me, just love that. Always love that song.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Men at Work, and they had so many big hits. And this was a hit. I can't say it's not, but it's one I think that gets overlooked a lot, and that's Overkill. I just
Hands down,
that song kills me.
hands down, my favorite song from them.
When he comes back around towards the end of the song after that cool little guitar solo, and he comes back and he's saying, "I can't get to sleep," and there's the synthesizer that kind of comes in. It gives me chills. I mean, that song is just so well constructed. I love it so much.
The saxophone is well placed in that. So well
Oh,
placed in that too.
yes, absolutely. Along the same lines, another band that had a lot of hits. I saw them a couple years ago in Athens, of all places, and they're such a great band, The Fix. But the song for me, and it was a hit. It's on their greatest hits album, but it's not one of the big ones. But Secret Separation. That
Mhm.
song has always been my song.
Yep.
I think it's such a beautiful song, and it's always been the one for me. Of all of the Fix hits, that was the one for me. Okay. Next up, do you remember the band Honeymoon Suite?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Totally, AOR rock, they weren't doing they weren't changing the game or anything. They just straight ahead rock, but they had a song called Feel It Again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got this just great chorus with the backing vocals. And I love the way the song starts. It's really starts out slow, and then it kicks in, and it's that euphoria that it could have only happened in the 80s. Do you know
Yeah.
the song?
Oh, yeah. For
You
sure.
know? Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Love
Yeah,
it.
when it comes in, you're like, yeah, you just it makes you want to like, yes. So that for me. All right, Crowded House, ton of hits, but the song for me is When You Come. I
Mhm.
just think that chorus is just close to perfection. Let's see, Lloyd Cole and the Commotions.
Look
I
at
know
you.
you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
Perfect Skin. Oh man, what a song! What a guitar!
Yep.
For those that don't know Lloyd Cole, they were from Scotland, and they had a couple of other songs that are maybe a little more well known for, but for me, Perfect Skin is top notch. You mentioned this band earlier, the Go Betweens. I love Streets of Your Town.
I do
That's
too.
just such a happy,
Yep.
almost just euphoric. It's just such a cool, it's such a simple song. There's
Mhm.
nothing groundbreaking about it, but at the same time, you just listen to it and go, "Gosh, what a." It's one of those songs that you could just. It again. It's back to you could play it at any time. It's a timeless, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. A
Absolutely.
timeless
Yep.
song. Next up, Blasters. So Long, Baby, Goodbye.
Mhm.
What a great song.
Great song.
They had such a cool thing going with their country, rockabilly, little bit of punk. And this song was actually in the soundtrack for Bull Durham. They played it wasn't from the soundtrack, but they played it in the movie.
Yeah, you're right. Forgot about
Oh, what a great song. Okay, wrapping up, I've got a few more here. Hoodoo Gurus, for me, Death Defying.
that. Mhm.
That was a song for me. Like when I heard that song, then that
Mhm.
right
Yep.
out of the gate, I knew 5 seconds into that song, I thought, I'm gonna love this band. You know?
Love it.
It's
Yeah.
just weird name at the time. I thought, what is a hoodoo guru? But it worked, and it worked for me for a long time. They became one of my favorite bands. Speaking of sort of crazy names, this band would sound like they're this crazy punk band, but they weren't. You talked about them a minute ago, Smithereens,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember seeing them on MTV, and Behind the Wall of Sleep just
Yeah.
blew me away. I
Yep.
saw that video and I was all in. And they shifted more to commercial pop later in their career, but that first record with Blood and Roses and Behind the Wall of Sleep, just
Yep.
amazing. All right, you talked about the church. There were a couple of different songs that could have made this, but if I'm just being honest and I'm being real, to me, they've never done a song for me personally better than Reptile. I mean, Reptile for me, the
Yeah.
guitar every time just hooks me in. And I play that song for people that don't know anything about the church and just tell them, go listen to that song. Forget Under the Milky Way. I know it's a great song and it's iconic and everything, but Reptile is the song.
Yeah. I agree.
Then I go local, my potentially, really all time favorite band I've talked about before, Dream So Real, song called Heart of Stone, just incredible. Not many songs that I'd put above that. And then finally, another band that you mentioned that you love, Midnight Oil, The Dead Heart,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't their biggest hit by far. They had a couple of other ones that were way bigger, but oh man, when that song comes out of the gate with the do do do,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
I was in. As soon as I heard it, I thought, okay, this, and it feels so intense.
Yeah.
That song to me is just so intense. Even if you didn't listen to the lyrics, it's just got an intensity about it that I love.
Yeah.
So that's my list. I tried my best. I didn't know how else to
Love it.
categorize it,
It's
but
funny hearing some of the Aussie bands too, with the Midnight Oil and the Church and Go Betweens. Ton of
mhm.
yeah, we've got the love of the Aussies, Hoodoo Gurus.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Oh,
about
Men at Work.
Men at Work. I'm thinking about like influences on newer bands that we like. Like,
Yeah.
and I think about how influential Midnight Oil was. So, like, they really figured it out because Midnight Oil was one of those bands. The first couple of records are just straight up hard rock. They were a
Yeah.
hard rock, 70s hard rock band. And then all of a sudden, they started playing more acoustics and they started blending their voices better together. And they
Yeah.
realized that their power was their how lock and step they were. They were such a tight band, very underrated band. They're not just Beds Are Burning. There's so much to that band. I'm as nostalgic about them in the 80s and really the early 90s as I am for any band. Love them. Great pick.
Love them. I just realized there's one song that I didn't mention, and I have to. So I think that was 20. I gotta say this one because it may be my favorite. Well, It's My Life is my favorite song from the 80s. It just is. It's just Talk Talk. It's My Life. I just love that song.
If
But I
you
actually forgot to mention Simple Minds,
Oh,
New Gold Dream.
yeah.
That song, the 81, 82, 83, 84.
Yeah.
I mean, I I
Great.
remember one time I was driving into the city one morning early. And I had a presentation and I was going to basically pull into the parking lot, hop out of the car, walk right in. I was the first presenter of the day. It was a fairly large crowd, for me at the time, early in my career, 70, 80 people in attendance. And I was trying to get myself psyched up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the song that I leaned on
Oh,
was New
nice.
Gold Dream. It's
Awesome.
just something about that song, the da-da-da,
Yeah.
it's just right out of the gate. That song for me, it really gets my blood pumping. I've always loved that
Great song.
song, and they've had tons of great songs.
I think my favorite Simple Minds song is off Sparkle in the Rain. I think it's Up on the Catwalk.
Oh my
I
gosh, what a song!
I love that song. I love that album. I love that band. I will say there's one song you didn't mention. I'm surprised that wasn't on your list, but I get it. And maybe it's been on other people's lists, but I feel like it's one of the more underrated gems of the 80s. And that's the Dream Academy's Life in a Northern Town. I would
I
put Life in a Northern Town, and I totally agree with you. As much as I like the Talks experimental stuff, It's My Life is a perfect song. Every time I hear it, just like with Life in a Northern Town, I transport back to that era every time.
Yeah,
I just
every time.
and I cannot speak to the power of nostalgia and how if you just don't if you don't focus so intently on it and it's not all you're about, let nostalgia kick in because it kind of rules. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah,
Like just
it
let it
is.
settle in for 15 minutes. Have that happy moment. You'll feel better. You'll smile. You just will feel better.
I I love that song so much. I actually thought about that song. It's funny you say that. I kept it off the list because I felt that it was on a lot of playlists probably
Well,
from
good.
the
It could
'80s. I
be.
really
Yeah.
I thought about looking back and seeing I couldn't remember any of their other songs. We've joked about this on the podcast before, but
Yep.
I love that song. That I mean, if I'm just doing my 20 favorite songs of the '80s, that
Right.
would make that list.
I figured.
This But and I will say now I got to add another one to the list that I meant to put on there by
Yeah.
Talk Talk is Life's What You Make It.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Yep.
That's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as good as It's My Life, but it is
It's a great song.
if It's My Life is a 10, and I agree it's a perfect song. I think there's not 1 second of that song that I don't love, but if it's a 10.0, Life's What You Make It is at least a 9.5 for me.
Right. Yeah. I can't dispute
And
that.
that guitar, the guitar I'm talking about in that song,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's in the background because the piano is at sort of the forefront of
Yeah.
Life's What You Make It, but that guitar is almost echoing in the background, almost like an afterthought.
Yeah.
It's
I
so
love it.
cool.
Yeah.
I
They were,
love that
you
song.
could tell there were shades of that brilliance that they were able to finally,
Yep,
kind of, there were shades of that of
right
their
there.
earlier records. There really were.
Yep.
They were just more focused in on pop. Once they finally just went and said, we're just going to go with it. And if it's pop, it's pop. And if it's not, and it didn't end up being. Uh,
Yeah.
but you could hear shades of that. And it's funny when you bring that up when I hear songs like that. I love the subtlety of that where most people might not notice it. They might not even know it's a guitar. I don't know. But yeah, I love that kind of mixing and editing. It's just brilliant.
All right, I got to do one more. I'm gonna
he
stop.
keeps
I'm
he
gonna
keeps
stop.
going. Hey, you can expand
Damn.
it to 25. You've added what, 2 so far. So if you want to,
Yeah, I'm just Aha, which had so many, only one big hit, so you can't say Take on Me, and that's not my favorite song anyway. Scoundrel Days is almost a little bit too obvious because to me that song is on a different level than almost every song created in the '80s.
yep,
But I've Been Losing You is probably that's off the same album. That's another one that I'd probably have to put. So I hope that this list between your album list, we had the listener a couple weeks ago that commented, always looking for a pen and a scrap of paper to write stuff down with.
yeah.
I hope that someone had to go pause and sharpen their pencil to keep going because we just rolled through a lot of stuff, right?
Well, if they're
I mean,
pausing, then this is gonna be a very long podcast.
yeah, very long podcast.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, we'll wrap up here. We have hit people with a whole lot of stuff, but that's what we do, and we're all over the board. I mean, we have made the connection between. I mean, you talked about everything from Def Leppard to Metallica, and went all the way to Honeymoon Suite and Aha. So I
Yeah,
think we've covered a lot of ground, a
lot of territory. Good luck.
lot of territory. All right. Well, hey, thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate it. Keep the comments rolling in. Keep passing this on to your friends.
Yep.
And we'll be back next week.